Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this tech debate where we will be covering crypto payments and other topics related to this crypto world that is so thrilling for us. Alongside with me, we have three very candid experts on different topics where we will have this debate and conversation around this topic. First of all, let me introduce you to Alan Bergner. He is the co-founder and CTO for Attic Lab, now part of the Globan family, and he has more than 7 years working on different blockchain solutions, including crypto around them. Also here with me is Leo Pace. He's a tech director of the Quality Engineering Studio and the practice lead for AI testing practice. He has more than 15 years of experience in the creation of test automation frameworks for several different solutions, among them web-based solutions, mobile solutions, but also on the gaming space. And finally, closing this amazing panel, we have Rodrigo Beistegui, who is our e-commerce SME. He's part of our digital experience studio at Globan, one of the newest members of the family also. He has been with us just 18 months from now, but he brings into the table more than 20 years working on several different industries, helping leaders on these industries to create the best commerce experience possible. So having said that, let us start with this tech debate. I will first start with you, Alan. Again, thanks for joining me today. And I want you to tell us a bit around the history of crypto payments. We have a huge milestone just a couple of weeks ago. And I also want to understand a bit more what are the challenges that we have faced throughout this time to make crypto become massive or start to be introduced more and more in the conversations with different customers. For the technical issues we were experiencing. So we will start again. Just a brief intro. I'm Agustin Huerta. I am the SVP of Studios for Globan, and I'm very happy to have you all here joining us in this tech debate about crypto payments, the present and the future on this. And alongside with me, I have three amazing experts on the field. First of all, let me introduce you to Alan Bergner. He's co-founder and CTO of Attic Labs, part of the Globan family. And he has more than 7 years working on blockchain technologies and building solutions around payments with crypto and other usages of blockchain. Also, we have Leo Pace. He is the tech director of the Quality Engineering Studio and the practice lead for AI testing. Leo has more than 15 years of experience working on the test automation space, and he has been leading different solutions and creation of frameworks for testing on web, mobile solutions, as well as video games. And finally, not for that less important, we have Rodrigo Beistegui here with me. He is our e-commerce SME and part of our digital experience studio. Rodri is maybe one of the newest here in the panel, alongside with Alan, with 18 months in the company, but he brings more than 20 years of experience on helping several players on different industries build and create their best commerce experience. So in order to give a start to this tech debate, I will start with Alan, and I will ask him to help us understand a bit about crypto payments in the history. We just have a very significant mile a couple of days ago, but also which is the present, which are the challenges that we still have on the usage of these technologies.
Okay, the first blockchain that was publicly used was Bitcoin back then, more than 10 years ago, and it was just made for payment, which is not something that's not important at all, actually. And we have celebrated the Bitcoin Pizza Day a few days ago, which was the first time someone paid for a couple of pizzas using Bitcoin network. But payments and blockchains were always a tough topic to discuss with, because there was always the debate between blockchain or Bitcoin and Visa network, right? In terms of the amount of transactions that you can process, and I could say that's something that's challenging. We have other solutions nowadays that help scaling different blockchain alternatives, most specifically with payments, for example, Lightning Network on top of Bitcoin. But yeah, obviously, that's not a problem that has been solved already. A few weeks ago, there was an NFT drop. NFTs are a digital asset that was made on top of Ethereum, and that collapsed the network for a few hours, right? So obviously, that could have been done better. There are design patterns to avoid those things. But still, the network collapsed, right? So yeah, that's where we are. Payments are all around. And as I said, it's still challenging.
Yeah, and these good practices that you mentioned are also being built basically as we find new use cases. I mean, NFTs did not have the size they have right now, or maybe in the past could not affect the blockchain as they are doing that right now.
Yeah, I mean, adoption is huge. And the interesting part is that those patterns are being built constantly, right? So there are tons of material, and actually the good thing about blockchains is that everything is built open source, let's say, or on public. So you can gather different patterns and ways that you could solve those issues by just looking at other projects, right? So that's super interesting.
Awesome. But as you were mentioning, part of the challenges is that these applications that we do are starting to have a massive reach, like NFTs, and they can make a network collapse. But it's also still challenging for businesses to understand how to leverage these technologies. So, Rodri, from a more like a business and technology perspective, what are the things that you believe will turn this technology into something massive? Yeah.
Well, basically what is going to help to turn crypto payments into massive, it's allowing people to pay for day-to-day products and services. Once that it's ready, that it's open for people to go for their daily, I don't know, groceries or things like that, this is when crypto payments is going to become more relevant. Today, most of the uses around cryptocurrencies it started with Bitcoin at the blockchain, but then we are talking about people that is mining, trading, more investment side. Then we see the NFTs born. So basically, still today, the usage is limited to people that perhaps have more knowledge on that area. But lately, we have seen big brands that have been investing in bringing crypto payments into the industry. For example, Microsoft was one of the biggest companies introduced crypto payments to pay for services, games, and things like that. Then we heard about Starbucks. Even though that you can't go to the store and pay directly for the coffee, you can bring money into the app and then pay your coffee for that. So we have many big, well-known brands that are starting to adopt crypto payments. Even within Globant, we have many customers that today are coming to us asking for help to assess the possibility to bring crypto payments into their commerce sites. So what it's still missing here is massive adoption in terms of pay for day-to-day products and services. Once that happens, and we envision that it's going to happen in the near future, this is going to completely turn the way in which crypto payments are adopted.
And do you think, rather in that sense, that maybe there is a challenge also in terms of the entry gate? I mean, how difficult people perceive to have a virtual wallet containing crypto to be, for example. And right now, there are a lot of startups that are trying to democratize that, yes? Like, I don't know, credit cards that give you some cash back in the form of crypto, and they isolate you from the actual creation of your wallet because it's embedded within that ecosystem. What do you think on that? Is there also something on that space?
Yes, today we can say that everything related with crypto payments is around early adopters or people that perhaps it's already working with that technology. There are certain studies and research that show that 50% of the people leveraging cryptocurrencies, it's people that it's working somehow with cryptocurrencies or with the blockchain network. So, and also in terms of ages, we have people that are around the top 35 years old. So there are challenges in terms of adoption that are coming in terms of the user experience, UI on all the sites. So it is one of the challenges that we need to still somehow tackle in order to enable more adoption.
Awesome. since this is a tech debate, I will throw you all something that maybe it's for debating. And this is more based on a personal opinion also. So don't kill me. I think that part of the great success that NFTs had is that people started to actually see the capability to acquire some kind of good. Yes, in this case, a virtual good that they can own with those cryptocurrencies that are out there. Yes, because in the past, many of the people that I have known that has been enthusiastic on that are more people that are on the trading side of things, more trying to work with the financial side of that, of creating money, and not so much on, well, what will I do with this, on what I can spend this on the future. Yes, and I think NFTs open a door for that. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, always cryptocurrencies were like a really good for speculation, that's for sure. But the good thing is that whenever we had a crypto summer, we had at least two, but we had a crypto summer that kind of like finished a few months ago. And it's really good that now the projects that weren't successful, they were just for speculation, were removed, right? And now we can see people building and getting the value. That's why we are getting even more requests for projects than even during the summer, right?
Right.
And the good thing about NFTs is that of course, people can spend money to buy them, but also the good thing about the new approach for NFTs is that you can get access to like kind of like a membership, right? And they are really, really cool projects. Actually, one of the one that broke Ethereum for a couple of hours, that they provide you really interesting use cases, right? It's like a membership. If you hold one of those NFTs, you have a membership and you can get special merchandise, and it's kind of like a new way to belong to some community.
Awesome, interesting. Leo, Rodri, what do you think?
No, I think basically we need to identify the different ways, as Alan said, in which we are applying the concept of a blockchain. It's not just about transaction, financial transactions. So one important topic, and I think since, I know, maybe Mark Zuckerberg changed the name of his company from Facebook to Meta, everyone is talking about the metaverse, and we have no idea about what the metaverse is. We have, yes, some kind of approach, but it's like, I know, talking about the internet in the 90s. So I think that the universe of blockchain is not just limited to financial transactions, but also NFTs, smart contracts. And I think that is really huge opportunity for the technology people to keep relevant on this kind of technologies.
So that's part of what we can foresee in the future for this, do you think?
Yeah, I think that I'm talking from the quality perspective, and it's a good example because from time to time we face some changes on the paradigm in which we test. For instance, with the artificial intelligence, with the explosion of the artificial intelligence years ago, so we were forced to change our mindset regarding the testing strategy, right? So we are not testing an artificial intelligence application in the same way that we test a traditional application, maybe a static web page or whatever. And I think that the same happens with blockchain. So we need to be aware that the blockchain technologies need to have a special testing strategy. We need to see which are the technologies that will be helping us to perform this kind of, not just testing, but also development. Yeah, totally.
And which do you think could be a pitfall of not thinking on a proper testing strategy on crypto, for example?
Not thinking about testing strategy?
Yes, not having it in mind right now. You mentioned metaverses, for example, as a future usage of this, and I keep reading a lot about what metaverse can do, what is about experience, and I see a lot of spaces that are still out there to be tested, to be improved. I don't know. For example, everything that is related to harassment on those environments.
Yes, totally. The metaverse is still, again, a concept that we are considering different technologies or different aspects. For instance, gaming. So I was in charge of a gaming studio for many years, and now gaming and virtual reality, of course, e-commerce are part of this concept of the metaverse. But also it's important to understand that the security becomes more and more important, and implement different ways to, I don't know, to secure this kind of virtual harassment, etc. So we need to keep focused. Quality, when we talk about quality, we have different testing strategies, and we always have, I don't know, different way of testing. So for instance, security testing, functional testing, automation, etc. We can apply the same technologies, but we need to keep focus basically in security-related things and also data, of course. And yeah, we need to keep in mind that we are creating some kind of new world, and also need to be tested in the proper way. Because as Alan mentioned, so suppose that we have an issue on, I know, on a blockchain, so that will be a tragedy, will be catastrophic. So security aspect, API testing, and I think that they are becoming more and more relevant with the blockchain.
And things like load, for
Yes,
example.
of course. Yeah,
As
yes.
Alan was just mentioning, if you don't really test the loading that you will be putting into the blockchain, everything could crash. Yes,
Totally.
or the worst is, it's not your own application that will be crashed. It's a lot of applications that are living within that blockchain that in the end will suffer of you failing on that. Yes. I believe that maybe in the future, someone will try to act as a kind of policeman into trying to secure those. I don't know. For example, mobile apps, you have to go through some scan before an application can be deployed into the stores. Maybe in the future, someone will try to look into that for blockchain. It's conflicting with the decentralized approach, no?
Yeah.
What do you think, Alan? I see your face, and I see that you are saying, yes, but we will lose our decentralization.
Yes. So I guess that ideally you shouldn't be able to prevent or do those actions that prevent these kind of things. But again, you're building on public, so you are showing what you are doing. And if, for example, with this case, going back to the same case, most of the people were saying, okay, you did this on purpose. You did this because you wanted to create your own network, and you did this to prove that you need it, right? So even if you cannot prevent it, the good thing is that you can show others. You need to behave properly in public, because everyone else is going to be looking at you.
They will bring all the spotlight into you and question you, and you will need to answer for that.
And coming back to what you were saying, we are still seeing that we are in early phases of adoption, and even though we managed to somehow break down the blockchain network. So imagine that if we are seeing this increase in adoption, everything related with testing is going to be key. Otherwise, we will not be able to guarantee that big business are going to be able to manage transactions on top of that. And something that I believe it's important, coming back to the usage that you were saying, we went into NFTs and the metaverse, is also blockchain, crypto payments on blockchain, allowed people from any part of the world to be part of an economy. If we think about, we are in Argentina, and we know that when we want to pay with our credit card something outside, we need to call Visa to ask for something. No, I wanted to pay $30 and I have a black card, even though I need to call to Visa for them to authorize. So if we go into metaverse, where we have no boundaries, when people from all the world is being there and they want to buy something, we need to have a way that allows that. So this is also where we see that this increase in usage is going to come. And if we go to, forget about the metaverse, but go to other businesses, it's allowing merchants to have customers from everywhere. That's tempting for any type of business. Not only being able to sell in your country, but sell to people everywhere. Don't need to have a specific bank account financing option in specific markets. Today we have companies that are offering that type of service, and this is going to remove all those barriers. So this is also why it's important to somehow push more adoption. Again, it's more business for merchants, but also it's simplification for people. And that's why it's going to be adopted. But you need to offer more services. Going beyond metaverse, going beyond NFTs, I want to pay for my coffee. I want to pay for a piece of clothes for my baby that I want to buy from somewhere else. So this is how we see that this is going to change and how adoption is going to come. And again, testing. If we don't test things, probably it's going to collapse when this happens.
Very interesting what you mentioned. I have never thought about this usage beyond countries' limitation for the mass. I have seen different banks trying to create their own ledgers in order to do international transactions between their own entities. And it was like a use case that at the time I see it, I say, of course, this makes a lot of sense. I mean, money is virtual in the end. It doesn't make sense that they go through all those heavy process. But I never thought, and it's quite interesting that barrier also exists for everyone trying to buy any kind of good beyond your country, trying to pay for that, limitations, like having to authorize that. I never thought about it. It's interesting.
I think our logistics today is much more simple because you just ship something,
right.
but you need to pay for that. So then you have banking institutions, finance, and so on. If we say, that, okay, logistics is already solved, it's not simple, it's expensive, but it's already solved, through crypto payments, we can forget about, okay, having the possibility to pay. And again, talking about developing countries, it's much more beneficial because there is a lot of people that they don't have credit cards, and it's easier to have crypto payments today if they go in than having a credit card. So it's going to make a huge change for developing markets.
So do you think that the financial institutions will be taking advantage of this situation and will be adopting this crypto market, or on the contrary, I know I don't want to say we'll fight against them, but what do you think about the future of the financial institution? And
so if we think about the future of the Kodak of the future for the banking institutions, I don't know. I think that at some point they need to adapt, and we already have banks that are. Some banks are fighting. So, for example, I have a bank account in United States, which I cannot buy Bitcoin with that account because they don't allow you to use your credit card for that. But there are also other mixed financial institutions that are launching their own cryptocurrencies and things like that. Think about Mercado Pago. I think that Mercado Pago is trying to do something on that front. So, at some point, they will have to adapt. Today, sadly, all the banking institutions have a lot of power to say somehow, but I believe that at some point they will need to otherwise they are going to lose business.
But also, there are some things that were developed that I'm not saying that banks will adopt it, but for example, in the past, if you wanted to pay with Bitcoin, you were worried about the price changing from the time that you send the payment up to when you receive it, right? So that was a problem. There were tools, so you were able to change it automatically to fiat. But now you can use stable coins. And it's super interesting that the technology is evolving really, really fast. So there is a specific way to scale blockchains, which is related to zero knowledge proofs. And that's cryptographic advance that has happened in a few years. And that, that's huge. It hasn't happened in the past in short amount of time. So I guess that you have now stable coins, you have more technologies that will help you. And actually, Lightning Network, there is a proposal paper to include stable coins to be able to transact on that network. So in the end, it will be a matter of fiat ramp up, letting people to get into crypto paying with fiat. And then there is no blocker for adoption, besides, I don't want to do that, right?
Yeah, and also, as far as I know, some countries are thinking of the possibility of having their own version of the money, digital version of their own money.
Yeah, the European Union, the Central Bank of Europe is trying to
Those are the
come up with
CBDCs, yes. Yeah. But that's a little bit controversial as well because
it's
not decentralized.
No, and also one of the biggest things that were part of the critics that people were saying about cryptocurrencies is that they were used to buy drugs or do some weird stuff, right? Illegal stuff. But it's completely the opposite. Actually, it's a little bit hard to get private in blockchains because all the transactions are being stored in public, right?
Yes.
So if you get a state or a centralized authority that's going to control these networks, you will be a little bit more under their control. Now they cannot control your cash, right? So it's a complex topic.
Yeah, maybe for another meeting.
For another tech debate.
debate.
No, well, but it's interesting that we're covering this because Leo mentioned something that affects the metaverses, but I still believe affects crypto and blockchain. And I believe it's, again, personal opinion, don't kill me. And it's around the concept of security. I mean, the transactions are secure in terms that you know that the transaction that you are registering is validated among all that are within the network, that the information is what you are expecting to be, yes? But there is still other cybersecurity issues around it. If your store is not properly secure, if the way you end up accessing the blockchain is not secure, you still get exposed to this. And there was I don't remember if it was OpenSea or one of those big NFT marketplace that have had a security issue a couple of months back, where many of the wallets they have and they were managing were stalled. And what do you guys think on that? I mean, it's for me, it's critical. It's something that I don't see many people talking, and just for the fact that blockchain per se and the transactions in there are secure because the nodes know each other. Again, the data that you get in there has been approved by all of them. Everyone thinks like, okay, this is secure by default, and you have many layers before reaching the blockchain.
Yeah, I guess the complexity doesn't disappear, and that's why testing is super important, because either you push it to a backend that helps you with that, or then you push it to the users. And most of the users are inexperienced, or they just don't know what to do, right? Actually, there was a game that used digital assets, crypto assets, to in-game assets like cryptocurrency and stuff, and the users didn't have a wallet. There was like a backend protected wallet somehow, and that setup got hacked. And or actually, it's not quite clear. But in the end, some stuff was stolen, and the price of the token of the game dumped to zero. Yeah. So UX is one of the most challenging parts of the whole ecosystem, I would say.
Yeah, and also maybe the social engineering, because it's not just about hacking, or it's not just about technical or security issues. I don't know, but maybe you hear about, I don't know, some kind of scams and say, okay, give me 1 Bitcoin and I will be retributed 2 Bitcoins. Oh, yes, that's a good deal. Yeah. So I think that, of course, every platform has their own issues, but maybe we need to keep focus also in the social engineering and how, we can be victim of this stolen data.
And perhaps the reason why we are still not speaking about that is because, again, coming back to massive adoption. Since, again, probably, yes, there are a lot of transactions, but since they are only focused on specific case of uses, then people still managing to, okay, how can I provide a good UX? How can I allow people to pay, understand what they are paying for what they are paying? But as soon as usage becomes higher, then I believe that we are going to start talking about those things, more security, more testing, and more things like that.
And Rudy, do you think that customers has this on their mind right now, or is it still a mindset that we need to keep on building? I don't know how aware they are. Yes.
Well, when we talk about customers, we are talking about people that are actually going to be paying.
No, the business owners.
Business. No, I think that, again, as I mentioned before, we are receiving many requests from customers to assess the possibility. But I think that today, many of them are still seeing this as okay, I need to understand what's happening to see if I can bring it to my commerce. But when you see brands like Gucci that lately announced that they're going to accept crypto payments at the stores, it's okay. Big brands are going to define the future, and other brands are going to copy. And the good thing is that from a technology perspective, today it's not that hard to implement a crypto payment in a traditional commerce. So if you have a commerce site that it's implemented using traditional off-the-shelf engines like Commerce Tools, Adobe Magento, Vitex, whatever you put in there, even WordPress, there are tons of plugins, there are tons of gateways that allow you to implement crypto payments as you do with a traditional credit card. So the barrier is not too high. It's a matter of when business decided to push this. Thinking about 20 years ago, digital marketing, that today for me it's only marketing. I need to think of digital. Well, I started working in digital marketing back in 2001 in Argentina when the economic crisis hit. And the first thing that marketers were doing is they were putting the TV commercial on the banners. So it's pretty much the same. Is you need to understand which is the benefit that this is going to allow you. So crypto payments is, first of all, it's attract new customers, people that perhaps weren't thinking about purchasing something from you, but you have crypto payments. I'm going to do something with them. And the second one, it's removing barriers. It's, again, international commerce. So these are the things that somehow business people need to start thinking. It's a new technology. How can I leverage, and which are the benefits? It's not just put in there for the sake of having an alternative method. And by doing that, they are going to, again, push more adoption.
Well, that has been a challenge for blockchain overall. I mean, Bitcoin was the first one because it was very clear as a kind of using the blockchain networks. But that, at the same time, created this concept that many people start confusing. What is blockchain and what is a crypto that is running on top of blockchain? But blockchain enables you a lot more things, and there is still a lot of room to think about new use cases. I mean, I talk to people, and sometimes I keep seeing they come back with the same idea once and again and again, and it's very clear they are blockchain scenarios. But I mean, there are many more that we can leverage and that maybe we are not still using. No, do you have the same feeling?
Yeah, and actually, everything keeps reinventing. Like, for example, the first NFTs are not new. The first NFTs were old CryptoPunks, but the one that I remember most are CryptoKitties, which were those kind of like Pokemon kind of things that you were able to buy. And that disappeared. And now the ecosystem reinvented the concept of NFTs, not just the NFT, but how to use them. So now you have in-asset games that are NFTs, and you can combine them or sell them or do whatever you want to. So everything keeps reinventing. So that's super interesting as well.
Yeah, and also when we talk about metaverse, it's another, I think, opportunity for customers to start, I don't know, maybe putting advertising into the metaverse. So it's not just about brands, but maybe in some games, my son loves to play Fortnite, and I saw a DJ with the performance as a part of the game. So it's not just about adopting the transactions or payment methods, but also considering the possibility of, investing in advertising into the metaverse and virtual reality.
And just to complement, even though it's not specifically crypto payments, I think it's pretty much the same adoption of new technology at business side. Yes. For example, in the case of blockchain, we are talking with one of our customers on how to implement the blockchain to track the maintenance of cars. Okay, it's again, perhaps it's something that for developing countries is more important when you are going to buy a used car. But imagine that you can have in one place the history of all the cars that you are going to buy. So again, it's business people need to understand and to embrace technology in new usage. So that goes beyond NFTs. That goes into something that I can leverage in my day-to-day to make my life easy, which at the end it's what technology enables. It's changed the way in which we do things. So again, it's not specifically crypto payment, but it's based on blockchain, and these are the challenges. So crypto payment is exactly the same. It's not using crypto payment for the sake of crypto payment, but understanding from a business perspective, which is the benefit that I'm going to get out of leveraging this.
Yeah, all this makes me think about what happened with AI. As we have this long winter where AI was not progressing, was not penetrating business in the way it is right now, and the time that we had to start talking to our customers, talking to users, trying to understand what their needs were on both ends, and start creating new solutions with the big advancements that we have on that space. Yes, and at first it was hard for them to understand, even how that could impact their business model. And sometimes that was a great space for leaner companies, startups and others that had a leaner structure that helps them get into those things faster. So it reminds me a lot. It brings a kind of a revival for me in many of those things. I think that blockchain suffer of something like that with this, again, confusion between what's blockchain, what's Bitcoin, and not having all the people ready to understand what it can bring into the table. Now we are getting out of there. We're starting to have more meaningful conversations about different scenarios. as you mentioned, Ala, technology has also evolved and evolved and improved, and now you can do transactions faster with other layers, with other patterns that enable use cases that in the past were just not financially interesting also, right? But we're talking about a tech debate, and I want to go a bit more into tech side. So, Alan, what do you think are right now those challenges that we see on this space from a development integrations perspective? And also, what kind of things do you believe people need to start learning to become part of this, to be part of this new wave?
So it's kind of interesting because whenever you say that you work in a blockchain space with someone, they think about, okay, you do cryptocurrencies or you do smart contracts, right? But different layers get involved whenever you are working on this space. And actually, testing is one of the most important ones due to the kind of like critical it's critical software that we are building, but it's not just that. You have also backends that you need to build to interact with the blockchains, even if it's not super Web3, as everyone would say. You need backends, and backends are built in Java, Node.js, Python, whatever tool that you are used to. Then obviously you have smart contracts, and there are really, really good material, specifically on Solidity, which is the language that's used to write smart contracts for Ethereum and similar networks, but also front ends and user interaction with wallets. So you have all different layers have a challenge for you to start with. So if you know about backend, you can start there, and then you can switch to smart contracts or to protocols. Actually, I started as a backend developer in blockchain space. Then I work on some protocol level. Then I switched to smart contracts. I never did front end, so I'm proud of that. But yeah, I mean, there are challenges in all the different layers, so you shouldn't be afraid of starting.
And is there any kind of real deep knowledge around cryptography that you need to have? I mean, because all this is based on crypto, right? On the principles of cryptography, and was born out of a discussion of a few crypto nerds, and they bringing this idea. Do you need something on that field to be part of it, or you could get into it and start building things without being an expert?
So you need to know the basics, of course, and you need to just not to make a mistake that might be huge, right? But that's something that you can learn from others, from your team. But you don't need to be a crypto expert to understand how the crypto primitives were coded. Actually, that's super hard. It's more related to hardcore computer science and math rather than with engineering, right? So as long as you understand the tools and how to use them, and you stick to whatever needs to be done, you will be safe and it's going to be okay.
Awesome. Leo, from a testing perspective, do you think there is anything new that will come in and help on this? It's more like going more in depth into good practices that we used to have on the testing space?
Yes, totally. I think the main challenge that we have is we are still working on the standardization of the testing strategy for blockchain technologies. I would say before, so we can't apply the same testing strategy for traditional applications than for artificial intelligence or blockchain. We have different tools provided by the platform. For instance, we have a tool for testing the Ethereum contracts. But I think that the main challenge that we are facing now is the standardization of these tools. And regarding the technical knowledge, I think that basic testing knowledge applies for all the platforms. But I think that, again, we need to have a huge understanding about other practices like non-functional testing, for instance, load and performance, security, etc. So we can use the same principles, the same basics, but we need to, I don't know, take another step and try to adapt the traditional technologies and testing strategies to the blockchain. The same we did for artificial intelligence in the past.
And do you think there is any kind of, I don't know, bad habit or issues that we have from testing other kind of solutions that could affect understanding what are the challenges of crypto. For example, AI. When you test an AI, you have to also think on how it has been trained, how to properly create testing scenarios for the AI. What are you going to be testing of the AI if it is only the accuracy, if it is answering in the appropriate time, how to create the proper conditions for that AI to be tested. Do you think there is anything like that that you need to crack in your mind? The most tech kind of yes, parallelism that I can imagine is like when you learn object-oriented programming. It's like you need to do that switch on your mind from other paradigms. I mean, many people potentially that is hearing us has not had to do that because they were born and raised in the era of object-oriented programming. But at the time I was at the university, we were saying other kind of programming, and we needed to crack our minds and enable ourselves to think on that way. You think there is anything on the testing space like that?
I think that you can drive a car without any knowledge of mechanics. So you can simply drive. The same for testing. So you can test artificial intelligence application without, I don't know, any knowledge about how the model was trained. And for blockchain, I think that applies the same, but we put a specific focus on different aspects of the testing. And I think that how to work with, I don't know, cryptography and also data and the specific capabilities of a decentralized database, I think that they are specific topics that we need to keep in mind. Of course, if you are taking your first steps into the world of testing, again, you can learn this kind of thing from other senior people. But I think that, again, we are moving our focus to security-related aspects as well, API testing, as I said before. But you can start from the very beginning.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. And, Rodri, you mentioned that one of the things is, okay, how you embed crypto payments into your business in a seamless manner and so on, that many e-commerce tools that are available right now are starting to have plugins. But let's think from a different perspective. Yes, here at Globant, we are building a conversational interface that will allow us to pay different things. Yes, and I know that we are going into understanding what that means for this platform with crypto. Yes, and maybe some of the challenges that we have is, as we said before, okay, how we do the transaction happen faster. I mean, if I'm ordering some food, I don't want that food in 3 hours because the transaction has been validated and, I don't know, someone created a problem with NFTs and collapsed the network, right? I want to buy the food. The shop wants to know that I have already paid for it, and they will send me that. And these kind of challenges start appearing. Yes, like, okay, new ways of or new channels to get into those customers. Yes, like paying through a chat, avoiding the complexities of going from fiat currency, because I don't know, a burger has a fiat currency value. Doesn't have right now. I don't know. In McDonald's, they don't say how many bitcoins you need or Ethereum you need to pay for that. Yes, so you need to do all the hard work around that. So how do you think these kind of disruptive interfaces, these kind of disruptive ways of payments, not only from crypto, but also from a different channel, complete different channel, like conversational. What do you think are the challenges that business have into incorporating that? Which are the skills that someone that is sitting on in charge of a business needs to have in order to open their minds to this?
Well, you know that you were mentioning something that is really important. That is basically we talk about the skills from a programming perspective, we talk about the skills from a testing perspective, but on top of that, we are used here at Globant to have other people in the teams, like product managers, like business analysts, and these guys are the ones that need to understand how things work and what makes sense for the business. You mentioned something, it's paying for a burger, that I'm going to have the confirmation in 20 minutes that the transaction happened. It's not feasible. So perhaps for Burger King or McDonald's to start with that is not the best way to do it. Or perhaps finding a different way, like Starbucks did, that it's charge money into the app and pay for that is going to be instant. So we said that the demand for cryptocurrencies is going to grow, which means that probably we'll need people from many different profiles to work on this. We know that in technology today, we lack of people, and probably it's people that are willing to, okay, I like this space and I want to work. So we need business people that understand the business, understand how this specific technology could be applied, and if it made sense. Then we need UX people that understand how everything works and to give that sense of, okay, this is simple, I can use it. But again, the most important thing from a business perspective is understanding the case, and if the technology applies as it is today, or we need to deep dive into Lightning Network, are things that allow us to tackle the challenges for specific business. So that's for me very important.
Any challenge that you usually have seen, Alan, based on all your years of experience in terms of bringing that technical knowledge and innovation into the business side? I don't know, key things that can help crack their minds in some way?
No, but one thing that I could say is that starting from a few years ago, we are having different conversations with customers and with people. We usually have, we had like these proof of concepts, like 2 or 3 months projects, and now we are just having full implementations that go into production, right? So that means that business has understood that there is a value proposition that can be grabbed from implementing these technologies. Again, it's not like we have this golden hammer and we are looking for nails all around. But we are having more in-depth conversations, and that's super interesting. We are just discussing the roadmap, not the why. And that's super interesting.
And this is also thanks to the maturity on also the skills that we have been discussing,
Exactly.
right? Because we have all acquired more and more skills to have these kind of conversations with our teams, with getting people onboarding into these technologies, with having meaningful conversations with businesses, understanding their needs, and understanding really what technology can bring. Yes, our shop, I believe all of us share the same vision, is key to have that technical knowledge that could be put into work for a real business scenario, yes, a real use case. So, team, we are on time. I really want to thank you all for joining me today. We have our first meeting a couple of weeks back talking about this tech debate. I know at first we all have our uncertainties about it, but it was great. Thank you very much. We discussed a lot of interesting topics. Thanks, everyone that is on the other end for joining us, for hearing us, for staying there while we have our technical issues. And for those that were not able to see it at the beginning, we are launching an event that is called Tech and Fest. It will take place first on the city of Mexico. For those around there, you can join us in a physical way, and you will have a different experience to any other that you have lived before. And for those outside of Mexico and different countries all around the world, I invite you to join us on our virtual spaces where we will be streaming part, not all, of the event. Yes. So thank you very much again, and hope you have enjoyed it. Thanks.